Neuschwanstein Castle, German, Schloss Neuschwanstein, Southern Bavarian. Schloss Neischwanstoa, is a 19th-century historicist palace on a rugged hill of the foothills of the Alps in the very south of Germany, near the border with Austria. It is located in the Swabia region of Bavaria, in the municipality of Schwangau, above the incorporated village of Hohenschwangau, which is also the location of Hohenschwangau Castle. The closest larger town is Füssen. The castle stands above the narrow gorge of the Pöllat stream, east of the Alpsee and Schwansee lakes, close to the mouth of the Lech into Forggensee. Despite the main residence of the Bavarian monarchs at the time, the Munich residence, being one of the most extensive palace complexes in the world, King Ludwig II of Bavaria felt the need to escape from the constraints he saw himself exposed to in Munich, and commissioned Neuschwanstein Palace on the remote northern edges of the Alps as a retreat, but also in honor of composer Richard Wagner, whom he greatly admired. Ludwig chose to pay for the palace out of his personal fortune and by means of extensive borrowing rather than Bavarian public funds. Construction began in 1869 but was never completed. The castle was intended to serve as a private residence for the king, but he died in 1886, and it was opened to the public shortly after his death. Since then, more than 61 million people have visited Neuschwanstein Castle. More than 1.3 million people visit annually, with as many as 6,000 per day in the summer. The municipality of Schwangau lies at an elevation of 800 meters, 2,620 feet, at the southwest border of the German state of Bavaria. Its surroundings are characterized by the transition between the Alpine foothills in the south, toward the nearby Austrian border, and a hilly landscape in the north that appears flat by comparison. In the Middle Ages, 3 castles overlooked the villages. One was called Neuschwanstein Castle. In 1832, Ludwig's father, King Maximilian II of Bavaria, bought its ruins to replace them with the comfortable neo-Gothic palace known as Hohenschwangau Castle. Finished in 1837, the palace became his family's summer residence. And his elder son Ludwig, born 1845, spent a large part of his childhood here. Vorder Hohenschwangau Castle and Hinter Hohenschwangau Castle sat on a rugged hill overlooking Neuschwanstein Castle. 2 nearby lakes, Alpsee and Schwansee, and the village, separated by only a moat, they jointly consisted of a hall, a keep, and a fortified tower house. In the 19th century, only ruins remained of the twin medieval castles. Those of Hinter Hohenschwangau served as a lookout place known as Silfenturm. The ruins above the family palace were known to the crown prince from his excursions. He first sketched one of them in his diary in 1859. When the young king came to power in 1864, the construction of a new palace in place of the 2 ruined castles became the first in his series of palace-building projects. As he called the new palace New Hohenschwangau Castle, the confusing result was that Hohenschwangau and Schwanstein effectively swapped names. Hohenschwangau Castle replaced the ruins of Schwanstein Castle, and Neuschwanstein Castle replaced the ruins of the 2 Hohenschwangau castles. Only after Ludwig's death was it renamed Neuschwanstein. The court buildings served decorative rather than residential purposes. The palace was intended to serve King Ludwig II as a kind of inhabitable theatrical setting. As a temple of friendship, it was also dedicated to the life and work of Richard Wagner, who died in 1883 without visiting the building. In the end, Ludwig II lived in the palace for a total of only 172 days. That is all. Subscribe and post comments for future videos.